Welcome to another episode of Smack Talk, Leave It on the Court. I am your host, Cerebral. We got AK with me. We got Joe with me. How you guys doing today?
Good, bro. Good.
Beautiful Sunday.
Yeah, not that beautiful, but it is Sunday. We purposely waited so that we could talk about some NBA playoffs, but we're not getting there yet. Let's dive into this this legislation passed about gambling for state by state, and basically every state has the ability to decide what they're going to do as far as their gambling laws are concerned. We all know Nevada already has legalized sports betting. They've been the king of it for years. No one can touch them. They're so far ahead. But now you've got a bunch of other states that have the opportunity to try to build their own infrastructure and see if they can get some kind of revenue going for that. What are your guys' initial thoughts on it?
I mean, it's American sports, or you can bet on anything in all reality, but in the sense of American sports, everything's gambled on. Everything, whether it's street level or professional, I mean, it's what we do. Just let it be. Just let them gamble. I mean, I just feel that there's no problem in it. There should have never been an issue about it before. You can do it in Nevada, but why can't you do it anywhere else? What's the point of that? So...
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what the history is on how Nevada became legalized for sports betting.
The mafia.
Okay. Okay.
I like it. The part that I'm not necessarily on board with is the in-game betting at the stadium, being able to place your bet right there, watch the game.
Oh, dude, I'd love to go to a game and walk up to a booth and put money down, put $30 on a money line.
Okay. What about when the bases are loaded, KB's up, strikes out, you just lost $100 because he couldn't get a hit? How many drunk fans are going to be yelling at KB?
How many drunk fans are yelling at him now?
So multiply that
but
now.
you add money on top of that.
Multiply that now.
Here's why I don't agree with that. Okay. Because we're pretending like illegal sports betting doesn't already happen.
No, I'm on board with that. I'm saying in-game betting at the stadium while you're watching the game. I don't like that.
I find it hard to believe that there aren't people that are already betting on these games illegally that are going to these games anyway.
Yeah, but what Joe's talking about in the sense of a situational bet. So, like, I think if anything, what they'll do is they'll have an app. It's got it. That's going to be the safest and easiest way because think about it. All money is electronic now. There's no cashing.
Don't get me wrong. These players are still getting yelled at, but I just feel like it's going to be magnified now because, God damn it, KB, you just lost me another $100 because you couldn't get a hit.
Or think about the people that are betting 10 G's.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they lose 10 grand.
I love the sports betting because that's revenue. I mean, some of the numbers that we have right here that we're able to, say total amount of money bet on sports in Nevada since 1984 is $81 billion.
It's a lot of coin.
It's a lot of coin.
And that makes me believe
that's taxable. Hospitals, schools, they don't have to close schools.
If it's done right. If it's done right.
We all know it's not going to be done right.
Yeah.
It's like the taxes we pay now. It's not generated and moved where it needs to be. It's going to be the same thing.
What does this mean for ball clubs and NBA teams? I mean, are they just going to be...
From a sports perspective, I honestly do not think it's going to change a whole lot.
No.
Because in reality...
Do they get any money from it? Do they get their cut?
That's something to be seen. But as far as how bets are made and everything like that, that process may change a little bit. But for the most part, the people that want to gamble on sports, they have a bookie.
Yes.
Yes. So they're already... The guy that's putting 10 grand on a baseball game in July was going to do that anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
So I don't think that you're going to have... that much of a new audience of people doing it. It's just that you're going to have people doing it legally now.
Yeah,
instead of going to their bookies.
I think there will be a slight new audience because you're going to have people that are going to be like, oh, well, let's put a casual $20 and see what happens.
Yeah, you'll have
because
the casual
you're able to it.
But the casual fan's not going to be as tied into it emotionally as like, damn it, KB, or damn it, Rizzo, or damn it, LeBron, whatever the case may be. It's going to be those heavy hitters, and they were already invested into it.
Yeah, I mean... And some people, it could cause commotion at the stadium in the sense of people will be more angry. And if you're already in a bad state and somebody could even just look at you wrong, we all know drunk people. I mean, if so if you're already pissed off, like Joe said, it might cause a little bit. I don't think it's going to be in the sense of numbers where it's going to be like, holy shit, we got to reverse this.
Right.
But it might call. I mean, look, fans are fighting fans because they're rooting for the other team. What do you think adding gambling into that's gonna do? You know, think about in Oakland. Think about
Oakland.
think about Oakland. Just think. You gamble there, they don't, $500
That's
away.
why they're losing the Raiders.
And then they're beating up San Francisco fans.
Right.
It's not a fair fight.
Not at
It's
all.
not a fair fight at all.
It's like saying Southsiders are beating up the Northsiders. What do you think's gonna happen? The Southsiders
Right.
are gonna kill them.
Right. By default.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not on the field, but
I mean the
know.
people fighting.
Okay. Yeah.
So, football betting in itself we obviously know it's the kingpin.
I mean,
there's no arguing that.
I know football numbers, television-wise, have been down over the last few years.
Betting, no way.
But betting-wise,
Because
no.
you're able to do a 5-team parlay, you get all 5 teams right, you just won.
That plus, even if you don't have to be a big fan of football to play fantasy football,
Which is gambling in itself.
Right.
So
You compare fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball, fantasy football.
There's no
football
question.
is
Is the
by
king.
far the king, and as long as that's the case, these other sports don't stand a chance,
Right.
really.
No. And you can. I just feel that it's just a more if they aren't big sports fans, but they'll watch the game because of the sense of their bet is in. It's a little bit more enjoyable. Baseball, think about it. I watch really only the Yankees. If the Yankees aren't on TV, I'm not really watching baseball.
I think all three of us are pretty similar with that.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's a prime time
Yeah,
matchup.
yes,
we
exactly.
can't.
Unless
Like if
it's a
it's
prime
Boston
time.
against another good team, the Angels or something, I might catch it just because I have to watch Boston. But
we're not watching Chicago and Kansas City.
yeah. So I think people betting it's a little bit more enjoyable because it's fast, it's hard nosed.
Yeah.
There's it's not like basketball where there's timeouts every 6 possessions.
I actually think basketball is more watchable than NFL because before in between, timeouts can be every 10, it's between 6 and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But you've got constant playing in between.
True.
Where football, you've got
lot
you
of
got one
downtime.
play. Yeah, you got one play, and then you got 45 seconds to a minute before the next play. So it's like it's a lot of sitting there on your phone, not really engaged. Where basketball, you got to sit there and watch.
Yeah,
I
same
guess
thing
I
with
don't consider
baseball.
myself as an average fan, then obviously because I watch all that shit when they're going, lining up,
Lining up,
whatever.
yeah.
The huddle thing. I watch all that because I'm seeing where everybody gets
Right.
positioned.
Oh,
but
no, definitely.
so
But I'm talking about for the casual fan.
Yeah,
It's a lot
you're
easier
right.
to watch more fluidly for the NBA than it is for the NFL. Because not everybody cares about the matchups, but adjustments made before the snap, things like that.
yeah,
Right.
They're not looking for that.
Yeah.
They don't.
Line
they don't care.
shifts.
They're waiting for a touchdown.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if it's not a
or a
touchdown,
50-yard
it's a
run or
boring
an
play.
80-yard pass, whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, whatever they're betting on.
So there are 4 states that have already
Pass the bill.
passed bills with some kind of regulations for sports gambling. It's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Mississippi.
Mississippi, that's an odd state to throw in there.
Yeah, a lot of gambling goes on in Mississippi. I know that. Don't ask me why.
For teeth.
Hey man, that's my family. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. And and the states that have recently introduced bills, but they haven't been passed yet, are California, Oklahoma, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, South Carolina, Maryland, New York, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. So if you didn't hear me name the state that you live in, they haven't even started the process yet. So I think that it's estimated for the states that do have bills introduced, they'll have an infrastructure in the next 5 years. So states that have not even gotten the ball rolling, who knows how long that's going to take. I think from a taxes purpose, it's going to have a huge impact on a lot of economies. So from that standpoint, I'm looking forward to seeing what could happen possibly. But I don't think it's going to bring in a big chunk of new people because sports betting is something that's like, if you want to do, let's be honest. We've all been sports gambling when we do fantasy sports.
Yeah.
And that's not a secret.
No,
Not
at all.
Like you listen
100.
to ESPN radio or or Fox Sports or whatever the case may be, when they start talking about the game on the little border underneath, they have the line.
I was just about to say, if they didn't want gambling to be going on,
Right.
they wouldn't do an over/under. They wouldn't need to do none of that.
It's not. It hasn't been taboo to talk about for a long time. So this is overdue, in my opinion.
I agree.
They knew what they were, the NFL, NBA, MLB. That's why they do the lines, because they know people are gambling. So
Right.
it's just that thing you just don't talk about. It's like the cousin that's the oddball cousin out that's a loser, and you just don't want to say nothing. You just leave
Right.
it alone. You're like, hey, that's just, you know. Hey.
And I tell you what, Adam Silver was ahead of the game with this, because Adam Silver started talking about this like 6 months ago. He says, hey, we want to embrace gambling and we want a piece of the action. And then this bill passed and he just got louder about it. It's like, all right, cool. Now we need to figure out our cut, because we can give you information to make your lines, or, you know, to make your
Lines better.
your lines better and everything. But we need some money back. Now, Vegas, I don't see cutting in any major sports organizations,
No.
because
They've been doing it.
they've been doing it.
I don't
and
even
they're-
think they let boxing do it back in the heyday.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not going to let the NFL do it.
Right.
Or anybody, you know.
And it's not like these sports organizations can do anything. It's like, well, we're not gonna help you. Cool. Vegas is gonna look at you like, hey, we've been doing this for years. We kind of don't need you. Our pros are better than your pros.
Right.
We can offer them more money. We're willing to offer them more money anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, sports betting in Vegas is
They
on
invented
par.
it.
Yeah, they did. So it's like you can't out
Can't
out
pass the
gamble us.
master. They can't pass the master yet. They're not ready.
48 laws of power. So, anything else you guys want to add on this sports betting thing?
No, I think it's good. I think it's good just because we all knew it. Just let it be out there.
If
Nobody
you-
cares.
If you have a gambling problem now, it's not going to change by you're already down that road.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Is it going to add to people having gambling problems? Probably not, because that's something that, I mean,
They're gonna do anyways. They can go to the casino,
Right.
go to the casino and blow. Whether
Right.
it's sports gambling
Right.
or the casino
Well,
or street gambling.
if they have an app on their phone, it's going to be really hard to kick that habit.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the only thing that I would say, but it is what it is. People, if you
I mean, what's DraftKings? All that. It's
All of it.
you're
Right.
just gambling.
Yeah,
That's all
you're
it is.
right.
And it's that it's, you know,
and it's
you're,
easy and convenient.
I did it for
You're
a
on
little
your
bit,
phone
and,
all
and
day.
it's
I did too.
and it's pretty easy to
Actually,
win.
I think I still have money in my
I
account.
still have money in my
Like,
account. I just haven't gambled in it for a while. I was doing it in the beginning of the basketball season, and that was it.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since I did it. But next topic, not necessarily the reason why we're recording on a Sunday, but it definitely helped. Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals was yesterday, Boston and Cleveland, and I'm going to admit, had we did this recording yesterday morning, I would have been crushing Cleveland and saying that they had no chance. They probably were going to get swept. I'm going to admit to that. But last night,
you're a big man for that. I
You
appreciate
are.
that.
Because not even I would say that. I mean, I know they got one game in them.
yeah, I think 5 was legitimately a thought. But
But
they came in last night. They came in last night and they beat Boston by 30. There hasn't been a close game in this series,
Boston was 9-0 at home going into that series, too.
and they were 1-4 on the road.
Yeah.
So they're a terrible road team. They're young, so that's
It's a big
not
thing.
yeah, that's not to
And,
be a
and going into
surprise.
Cleveland to play against LeBron is tough. I don't care if these
Backed
young guys
against the wall?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. They know who LeBron is. They know
Terrible
they saw
on
what
the
he did in the first
Yeah.
2 series when it came down to it, to where it had to be done.
And-
let's Toronto. Let's face that that was no
and
competition.
the Cleveland role players have been getting bashed since Tuesday night. That's all they've had to hear.
They
So
all
they
played.
could not wait for Saturday to be like, you know what, we are not scrubs.
And I have to say, I watched pretty much all that game except the last bit of the fourth quarter, and the Cavaliers dominated the Celtics that entire game. They came out of the stretch. I turned it on, and it was 12-6, I think it was, and then it was 21-6, and then it was 27-6. And then Boston slowly started to score when LeBron went to the bench.
Yeah. Of
course.
But they continued to hold on to the lead a little bit. They still were scoring. J.R. Smith, he was shooting good shots. Kevin Love was moving without the ball great. He was posting, Baines up, and they were putting Morris on him with the switch. And I have to say, I give it to everybody but LeBron on that team. LeBron obviously always gets
Yeah, you know what you get
praise,
from LeBron.
but everybody else that played in that game, Tristan Thompson, they came ready to play. They were playing defense. I have to say that LeBron started at first quarter because they've been talking about, oh, I could do what he's doing because he doesn't play defense. Skip Bayless has been saying LeBron takes it easy on defense now. The man had 2 blocks in the first quarter.
Attacking defense.
He had 2 blocks in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Most people get that in 3-4 games, and he got it in the first quarter. And then I think he might have had another one after that. But he played.
He finished with 2.
He only finished with 2. You know what I'm saying? He stepped it up defensively. So, I mean,
2
the whole
blocks
team
and 2
did.
steals, though. I mean, that's
He did what he had to do.
And he only had, 27 points?
only 27.
No, but no. What I'm saying is, look what he's been doing though. 42,
I know. Right.
know,
That's what I mean.
he
Only
didn't
27.
score, and I like that because he's taking, like you said, he's taking years off his career potentially by playing the way he plays having to play every single night.
I think the biggest thing to tell as far as like game 1, game 2, and last night, in the first 2 games, the Cavs shot less than 25% from 3. Last night, they shot 50%. That's a huge jump.
That'll get the
And
job
and that'll get you a W.
think-
You shoot 50% for 3 on any team, you're probably going to win
Yeah.
that game, probably convincingly, unless the other team does the same thing.
They made 9 before half. I think before the first quarter. I think it might have been 9 3-pointers that they made because Kevin Love, J.R. Smith was hitting them. I wish I would have wrote that down, but yeah, their 3-point shot went up a lot. I don't know. Defense or the Celtics looked a little flat on defense. They didn't look so. They weren't moving as well as like they were in game 1 and game 2. They just were. They were going.
lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical. Thanks, Joey. Yeah, they didn't have active hands. They just looked like they were tired. Like they played ball game 1 and game 2. I mean, they played all tough series.
They balled out.
You know what I'm saying? Even though they did what they did to Philly, it wasn't a cakewalk.
No.
Philly's a good team.
In all honesty, they had an easier time in game 1 and game 2 against Cleveland.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, they just defensively, especially the first half, they just looked very flat. They just had no jump. They had no quickness to their step, and you could just see it. And, it might have been playing on a road in such a big game, them being young, all the whole, there's a lot of things that are included in that.
I think they feed a lot onto they use their home crowd to feed off of
It's
a
the
lot.
Garden, bro.
And
It's the Garden.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably the second most historical, basketball arena. I mean, I know it's the new Garden, but still,
Yeah.
like that vibe and everything
Yeah.
is still there. I mean, the only other stadium would be Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks don't know how to use that to their advantage. Sorry,
It's all right. Okay.
but anyway, I watching that game last night. It was kind of naive of me to think that LeBron James was going to let his team get swept. He went in there.
Not the Eastern Conference Finals.
In game 2, he went in there with a purpose, and his teammates just weren't ready to follow. Game three, like I said, the teammates were tired of getting shitted on all week. So they had to show up because you knew what you were going to get out of LeBron. And LeBron put up a stat line that didn't surprise me at all.
Oh.
He had 27 points,
That's an
12
average
assists.
for him.
Yeah, that's
an average
pretty
for
close
him.
to his career average.
You
So
know?
that's what LeBron James is going to give you. J.R. Smith showed up. Kevin Love had a bad shooting night overall, but he
terrible.
affected the game. George Hill was aggressive from the start.
George Hill was he. That's what Kevin Love.
That's
played
how
a
he
big
needs to
role.
play.
They played that pick and roll game, and because Kevin Love, I mean Tristan Thompson, that they're gonna they pick and pop. Let me rephrase that. Tristan Thompson, they would have pick and roll because Tristan Thompson can't shoot the ball. Let's be honest, But Kevin Love was taking a lot of that. They were getting the switch to get the bigger man on George Hill, and he would step back and shoot the 3. I mean, you can't defend that. George Hill's a good shooter.
Yeah.
He was definitely feeling himself. Yeah, it was definitely good to see those guys start playing because
Corver going 4 for 4 from the 3-point line helps.
he had a
lot.
couple good shots too. He had 2 hands in his face. He actually dribbled it and then shot it.
I don't think LeBron missed a 3. I think he was 3 for 3.
He was.
I was gonna say he didn't. I'm glad he took a seat back to rest. He
Oh, he
That's a
needed
rest
to.
to him.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah,
rest,
yeah.
and he needs that.
No, definitely. So what do you guys think of the series going forward? Is it a new series?
We've been saying it all playoffs. You can't count him out
No, absolutely
until
not.
he's
I
out.
would have told you the same thing. I'm going to tell you
mean-
after game 1, Cleveland.
Teams that
Cleveland.
Statistically, teams that win, that go up 2-0, I mean, we know the stat line for that. We know that they win a bunch of the time.
Boston specifically is 37-0
Never
when they lead
never,
2-0 in a series.
Never, right. So could it be Boston series? Definitely. I mean, LeBron can defy odds, though. We all know that. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if he's the first team
to beat Boston.
to beat Boston after being up 2-0.
And I'm not riding the man at all, but I think Cleveland can still do it. I think just LeBron, you just can't bet it. Like it would be like if Jordan was in this situation, I would have never been able to bet against him. Kobe, I wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to
you
bet
don't-
against him.
like guys like that, you don't bet against them until it's over.
Until it's literally 4-1. Then you're like,
Right.
well, he lost.
Yeah.
Right.
God damn it.
I think that Boston, I know they got that crazy 37-0 leading 2-0, but this is a really young team. They're coached really well by Brad
Well, you
Stevens.
you see what happened this last game when Rozier and Brown and, when they go quiet and Tatum, I mean, Tatum still had 18, but Brown and Rozier, I mean, they were very quiet, and you see what happens.
You know what else it is? Those first two games, Morris played good, and I don't like the man at all, and he played. He had
You
to
don't
do.
like Marcus Morris?
No, not at one bit.
Why?
I just don't like him.
Huh.
He's one of those guys. Another one of those guys. If
He's
he's
a
not on my
KU-ian.
team, if he's not on my team, I don't like him. If he's on my team, I like the
I
intensity. He's very
get
intense.
what you're saying.
He's a very intense person.
I respect his game though. I do. I absolutely do. Because I respect. I know what you're saying. I respect those guys. Like I like Draymond Green.
Oh, see, but Draymond I like a little bit better than him. I don't know why. Maybe because he went to Michigan State, and I like Big Ten teams.
Same.
And he did go to KU, and I don't like
we
hearing.
don't like KU.
And I
We
don't.
just don't.
Two of our friends are Kansas fans, and they're the most obnoxious Kansas fans there are, Justin and Wesley.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think he had guarding LeBron that much. You're eventually gonna get tired.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't
He's
care.
eventually
He
gonna
just
find a
dropped-
way
and
to
he just
beat
dropped
you.
40.
Yes.
And I know Marcus Morris wasn't guarding him the entire
No,
time.
no,
There was a
no.
lot of defense by committee.
And they switch. And
Yes,
they switch so much.
a lot.
LeBron
And they're
them.
one of the few teams that can switch like that.
They do. They can, and that's what they did. LeBron and them just kept getting switches, and then it's what are you gonna do? And then they end up switching. They put Larry Nance on Al Horford, and then they let Tristan Thompson be on what's his name? Was it Baines?
Baines, yeah.
Baines,
yeah.
and it helped things out because Larry Nance is quicker than Tristan Thompson, so he was guarding Al Horford a lot better.
Yeah.
So they switched it up. I mean, and it worked. So I think that's a good sign. I think Cleveland can still get it.
So you're picking Cleveland still in the series?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Joe?
Still gotta go with Cleveland.
I know you're going. If Boston wins, trust me, I'll be happy. Because
It's a
I
hard
like Boston.
decision, but if you're asking me what, off the stats and off previous experiences,
and-
I gotta go.
picking
with
with
I'm
your
also
heart-
I'm
picking
picking
with
with
your
my
heart.
heart right now.
Right.
I'm picking with my heart and picking LeBron James.
Really?
Because I want to see him go to the finals again. But I don't want to see him go to the finals again because he's going to lose, and then it's going to make his record even worse. And
So you want to see him win.
Hey,
So I
and
wanna
he
see
ain't
him
gonna
win the
win.
finals.
So why you want to let him
We're
go
going
to
to
the
bring up that conversation soon. We're going to bring
You know
up
what
that
I'm saying?
conversation soon.
So would I like?
Okay.
But would I like to see Boston go there? Hell yeah, because you never know. Them young cats might make those Golden State run for the money.
You never know. You're
Because
absolutely right.
Because look at they're so good on defense. They're long, they're lanky, and that's what you need against Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. They're tall and lanky. And
Draymond's actually not that tall.
who?
Draymond's not actually that tall.
Oh, he's lanky as hell.
He's scrappy. That's the thing. But okay, you're.
And what's not that tall? 6'8"?
I mean,
not that
for a
6'8"?
guy
We
that plays
sit
the
here-
5 from time to time.
Okay, but come
Sitting
on
here
now,
at
that's not
5'10", not that tall.
bro. Yeah, right. Like,
Hey, I'm
but-
6'1".
okay, but-
I'm in the 6 foot category. I
With
can say
the
that.
dookie dress on your head, you 6'2".
I'll take
I
it.
give you 6 foot. Dude.
I'll take it.
Hey, no, but for real, 6'8". I mean, yeah, the only reason he plays the 5 is because the system that they play. And if you put him in New Orleans, he ain't running no 5. He damn near's not even running the 4.
He
Yeah.
has to, though.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what yeah. So yeah, he's not a 7'5". He's a 6'8", 5. You know, LeBron plays at 1 through 5, and he's 6'8".
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'll give you that. So, AK's on Boston, or no, AK's on Cleveland.
Cleveland,
because he's on LeBron's tip.
Wow.
Somebody's mad that Boston's gonna lose.
No, actually, you know what? Ultimately, I don't care. But
Right.
if I had to pick, I would still say Boston because they do have home field advantage,
They do.
and they're undefeated at home.
They
If
do.
Cleveland's going to win this series,
Yeah.
They're
they
gonna
have
have
to
to beat
take a
them
game in Boston. They just do.
It could be done.
Same thing
Oh,
with the next
absolutely.
series, though.
Yeah. So this next series, thank you, Joe. This next series, Game 3 tonight, Golden State and Houston. Houston lost Game 1, and they lost Game 1. I feel like they choked that game away. But they came back in Game 2, very, very, very aggressive, and they came back with a better shooting effort and a better team effort. It wasn't all just James Harden, but they got it notched up at 1-1. I personally don't feel like that was enough. I think they needed to take those first 2 home games.
They definitely had to.
If Golden State wins these Game 3 and Game 4, it's 3-1, and you're not coming back from that. And I know Golden State blew a 3-1 lead, but that was without Kevin Durant.
And a LeBron.
And it was going against LeBron James, not a choke artist like James Harden and Chris Paul.
And Mike D'Antoni.
And D'Antoni.
Yeah,
And D'Antoni.
I'm that
I
trio.
don't even like to speak his name because he coached my team at one point in time.
Was that with Melo?
It was Melo's first year,
Okay.
and then I think they got rid of him after that.
Yeah,
And then
so
we
he
Mike
had
Brown.
So he had Amari and Melo.
Yeah.
But Amari was hurt a lot that year, I remember.
No, that was the year before
Amari
that.
was
That
hurt
was the
all
year
the
before
time.
that. Because Amari was in New York for 3 years before Carmelo got there.
I thought it was the same season. I thought he signed there in free agency and then
No,
Melo
he
got
was
traded.
there without Melo before.
Okay.
He was there before Melo, and then that's when he played with Gallinari and Wilson Chandler, and then they traded them for Melo.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't even like to say his names because he's a terrible coach.
Potential coach of the year is a terrible coach.
I don't think he's got it what it takes. Clearly,
I mean,
To win a ring, I'm saying.
I'm on board with him.
I am too.
win a ring.
I've not been a fan of Mike D'Antoni
because
since the 7-second offense.
yeah, exactly. Good coaches win championships, just like good players. Some good players win championships. The superstars win championships.
Mike D'Antoni looks good until he's matched up with a better coach. The Greg Popoviches, the Phil Jacksons, the Steve Kerrs. That's when you really see the flaw. In
You don't
his
even want to see Brad
adjustment.
Stevens in a couple of years.
No,
Stevenson.
he will coach circles around Mike D'Antoni.
Exactly. It's
big
I mean, think about they had good teams because he was the Phoenix coach when they had Amari and Steve Nash. And think about it, he could never outcoach
Greg Popovich.
Popovich or who was the Lakers? Phil.
Well, they did beat the Lakers, but they were abundantly more talented than the Lakers at the time.
I mean, I think the Lakers had Kobe
Kobe.
Bryant
They had
playing
Kobe.
every position, and everybody else was on the bench.
They had Kobe and they had Lamar when Kobe still didn't like Lamar.
Yeah. Shit, who else did they have on that team? That was an old team.
They had Jordan Farmar.
Hey, I like Jordan Farmar. I like them. That was, man, that's old.
I could go down the list if I had.
Because D'Antoni coached there in like 04, 05, 06, I think, or something like that. 07. I think he coached in that era. Then he
Yeah.
went to New York like 2000. He went to New York, I think, when I went to New York.
It's your fault. It's your fault. So Houston was able to tie up this series 1-1 in pretty convincing fashion in Game 2, actually.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody really, outside of Houston, that is, I don't think anybody really believes that they have a chance in this series. I picked the Warriors in 5. I'm on track.
Houston,
You're right.
you're definitely right. The only way Houston can do it is by playing like this for the rest of the series. Plain and simple.
Chris Paul had a good game.
I don't even know if that's good enough
Is
because
he hurt?
Who?
Chris
KD
Paul.
had 38.
Because I know he got hurt in Game 2.
I have.
If you guys haven't heard nothing, then he's probably not hurt. I haven't
I
looked.
haven't heard anything. I have absolute faith that Chris Paul is going to play in Game 3, hurt or not. My thing is that Steph and Clay Clay had a good Game 1. Steph has not had a good game yet in the series, and he's a 2-time MVP. He is honestly the heart and soul of this team. It's between him and Draymond. If Steph Curry gets it going, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will, then Houston stands no chance. And they're trying to run him dry by throwing switches at him and attacking him
Right.
with Harden and Chris Paul. But they're going to make adjustments. They're going to make they're going to find a way to get the switches that they want and get Steph off of the primary ball handler like they always do, and then Steph's going to just start raining threes.
I feel you on that a lot.
He's got to do it though.
The only thing, if the episodes that we didn't put out, the pre ones, our little
Sure.
go rounds, would we talk about if Steph comes back and he isn't Steph? He's not hitting those threes, and he still has that rust on him. We said this months ago.
Yeah.
We did.
That would be dangerous. So,
Yeah.
and that a part of me believes that could happen in the sense of Steph might not get together, but the fact that they still have Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I mean, they have
Andre Iguodala's been
Iggy.
playing.
You can't. That man comes when it's time to
Iggy
show
comes
up.
clutch. Yeah.
When it's time to show
Iggy
up,
comes clutch.
Iggy shows up. But so if Steph doesn't get it knocked out there, and they still win, all right. Don't see Cleveland when Steph's not playing good. Cleveland's winning it.
That's tough to say.
They weren't even close to Golden State last year. Now, granted, Golden State was running on all cylinders, but Cleveland had a better team last year. I would argue that until I'm blue in the face.
But LeBron is playing on a whole nother level.
LeBron is playing with fumes. That's what he's playing.
He'll
on.
get some rest. He'll sleep in his little chamber, and he'll come back.
I don't know when he's going to
bigger,
get rest
better.
because he's got his hands full with this Boston team that's going to push him to 6 or 7 games
It'll
probably.
be Cleveland in 6.
Wait. Cleveland is 6. That means they're sweeping the rest of the seed.
Heard it first. Quote me.
All right, guy.
Google me, Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh damn.
But do I think that Steph is going to continue to play like that? No. Great players, they
They figure it out.
And
and
he's- figure it out.
and he's already played like Steph in the last series.
yeah. I mean, but
That's why I don't believe in the rust or the lingering.
but he
injury.
hasn't came out with a 38, 40-point game. In
Got KD. He doesn't need to have that mindset.
True.
Now, I think he's going to come out in Game 3 with that mindset because the questions have started popping up. But
we'll see.
he defers to KD as far as aggressiveness.
KD's
scoring.
feeling himself right now.
Yeah.
He's. I wish he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish he would play like this his whole entire career because he might have had a championship before he even went to Golden State.
Yeah, he probably would still be in Oklahoma City.
You think about that series when they lost. If KD played like he's playing now,
Players that play with Westbrook, bro, they don't play as good.
Hey, man, I'm going to need you to stop.
Yeah.
being on my guy like that.
the only numbers that really changed like drastically were Victor Oladipo's and then a center. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
KD's numbers didn't improve drastically.
They improved by like 3.
I think he's a better player now than he ever has been.
Well, he's also maturing as a person and as a player. He's getting.
It's a better system for him. It's definitely a better system for him.
I think he's getting more in tune with the actual strategy of almost coaching. You know what I'm saying?
Understanding the game better.
He's becoming like a floor general himself because he was never that anywhere he can't. He was at. I think he's learning a lot more. They had Steve Brooks compared to Steve Kerr. Who are you going to take as your coach?
Oh, yeah.
Steve Kerr. So, and I feel Steve Kerr relates to them a lot because I've listened to a lot of their like in huddle, and he's he breaks it down to like being them. Like, hey, I was here at this exact moment. Just keep, continue. He's very motivating and informative.
I think that buys him a lot of cachet with the players because it's like, look, I was on arguably the greatest team ever.
And what do you think Steve Kerr did behind Phil Jackson? He learned.
Right.
So that's what KD's doing now in the sense of he's learning behind him, and I think he's just becoming a more intelligent player. He knows when, I'm in my sweet spot. All right, I'm shooting it. Before he would think about it, he would dribble, and then take the shot instead of just knowing he's in his sweet spot, pull it. I think
Or it'd be like, I gotta let Westbrook get his shots.
yeah, true.
And that was the biggest problem in OKC.
that right there is the demise of that team.
Yeah.
It's why
They could.
That's why they couldn't win, and that's why Russ, unless he goes to a different team, is not gonna win a ring. Russ needs to be almost a Robin.
I
I don't think he's a Batman.
Okay. You don't think Russ? You don't think Russ can be the alpha?
Right.
He has.
He has that mentality and that attitude, but I don't think
He's got too much alpha in him to ever be able to defer. He couldn't defer with KD.
You're right.
Who
That's-
else?
that's his
Who is he
problem,
going to
though.
play with?
Right.
Who is he going to play with that is worthy of him deferring to in his mind?
You're right.
So you guys might be right, and I love Westbrook. I love the way he plays. He's 100 miles an hour,
I don't-
100% of the time. But he just might not be a player that can win a championship because of his mindset and his attitude and his
The
unwillingness
own
to
demise,
defer.
right.
Yeah.
I jinxed myself in the sense of Russell because when he was Derrick Rose was on his tear, I said Derrick Rose will never win a championship. He's
In
not
Chicago.
I said he'll never win one in Chicago. He'll win one coming off the bench somewhere because the way he plays, those point guards just naturally don't win championships because they're not a true point.
Explosive.
They're not true point guards. You
Right.
know,
They're scoring first
and they
guards.
have point guards for a reason in
Right.
the sense of you dish the ball, you score a little, give me 20, maybe 20 points.
15 to 21, somewhere around
You know, and so
8
I always
assists.
said that, and now look at one of my favorite players is not going to win a championship unless he's on a different team or coming off the bench. and even then, you look at Derrick Rose now, even him coming off the bench, like he has some some signs of
He
good
wasn't playing
talent.
terrible in Minnesota.
No,
I mean,
no.
they
Oh, in the
just-
playoffs, Derrick Rose was great.
But it's just like it's getting smaller. His window is getting smaller and smaller, and Russ's is going to start getting smaller and smaller a lot quicker too. And it's sad to say because I would love to see him win a championship. But same thing with Melo. I would have loved to see Melo win a championship. He got a national title. He could have got a ring, and
Right.
who can deny him as a good basketball? I mean,
A
he's-
ring would have almost solidified his Hall of Fame case.
Yeah, it's
Melo?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think
Like, no
I think
question.
it's going to take a while for him to get in the Hall of
He
Fame.
won't be a first ballot by any means, but he'll definitely get in.
Nah, his numbers, he has great numbers.
You
in the
really
sense of
don't think
scoring.
he's gonna get in? I mean, I know one scoring title, but like I said, bro, it's not NBA. It's basketball Hall of Fame. That natty shit matters.
I didn't want to break this down, but how I feel about Melo, do I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame?
Eventually?
Yes. Do I think he deserves to get into the Hall of Fame? Absolutely not. He's got one scoring title. Yeah, you've got the national title in
it
college.
matters,
he
though.
was far and above the best player,
It
and he
matters.
had a good coach. It does matter. Besides that, you get into his NBA stats.
Great numbers, just not
scoring.
scoring.
Scoring wise,
He,
yeah.
he was a rebounder too. And he
for moments, he wasn't always a great rebounder. And
I know. I'm
he's
not saying.
select-
I'm not
when-
saying a great.
He wasn't
that's the thing.
atrocious.
when
at rebounding.
his
No,
team
he's
is
good.
winning, he's a good rebounder. When his team is not winning, when his team is not in the playoff chase, he's not a good rebounder. He's not giving that effort. The best thing that anybody can tell me about
not in Denver. In Denver, he played ball.
well, in
When
Denver,
played
he was
ball.
contending every year.
But even when he was in New York, the first year they made the playoffs, he balled. The second year, he balled
my
too.
point.
But he balled the second year too, and they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs that year. I think being in New York drained him in the sense of drained his will to play.
He wanted
So-
that spotlight. That's
wanted
where he
money.
wanted to be.
Oh, yeah, he wanted
He made it
money.
clear
He
that's
should've
where he
stayed-
wanted
should-
to.
Oh, don't trust
Should've
me.
stayed in Denver.
Trust me. I am a Melo fan through and through. That man should have never left Denver.
No, he shouldn't have.
Never left Denver. That's when his game went down, started to decline drastically.
Melo had an opportunity to right that ship, and he didn't take it. And I'm not just saying this as a Bulls fan. If he would have came to Chicago, then he would have had a much better chance at winning a championship than he does now. Staying in New York, getting traded to OKC because he would have been younger. He would have had a Derrick Rose that could have deferred, and Derrick Rose is a lot more likely to defer to a guy like Melo than Westbrook is to anybody. So you would have had that off guard kind of a thing. You would have had Jimmy Butler coming into his own. That was a team built to win. They just needed a dominating pass the ball. And he'll just take
Create
over.
shots.
Exactly. And Melo was that. That team had everything
could've.
else that you needed.
Who was their coach at the time then?
It was still Tibbs.
Oh, see,
And this is
yeah.
before.
Tibbs
This
picked
is
him up from the airport
yeah.
when he came to visit Chicago. He was supposed to be here, man.
He should have. I would have. And I told you it'd be nice because
know.
I would definitely want to go see him all the time.
That would
But
have been nice.
yeah, it would have been nice. I forgot Tibbs. I thought it was Buddy
Fred?
after.
No.
He needs to go.
He's still the coach.
Fred?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still a coach.
Seriously? I thought you guys got rid of him already.
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of you guys.
He I'm not worried about a Knicks fan making fun of the Bulls. Fred is going to be around for a few more years. I just got to deal with that. But Melo is a guy that he's proven he just cares about the money. And in my eyes, I'm not putting you into the Hall of Fame. The best thing that anybody can come to me as far as his NBA career minus the scoring title is, oh, he's got 4 Olympic gold medals. You play for Team USA. It's more news if we don't win gold.
Yeah, but I think it's more or less the number. I mean, how many NBA players have 4 Olympic golds?
How many NBA players have been in 4 Olympics?
Right.
But it's
many.
it's a feat in itself.
Not many.
That he
Because that's 16 years right there. He played for gold right when he came in that next year, 2004. Not many NBA players play 4 Olympics.
And if you think about
It is about timing, but it's still the feat of I got 4 golds.
and what they do, they played FIBA too. I mean,
The World Championship.
Yeah, they got all.
I don't know if he was on the World Championship team.
Yeah, they change up the rosters for those.
Yeah.
It was-
dramatically. That's when you get the Draymond Greens and the Roziers playing.
They get a lot
And
of
then when
young
the
guys
Olympics come, that's
Yeah.
when the big dogs come out.
Well, in the Olympics, you can't be an NBA player now, right? And play.
No, they haven't passed that yet.
They haven't passed it yet. I swear. I thought
No,
they-
it was with baseball.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what the World
yeah,
Championship
yeah,
was.
It's
yeah, World
hockey,
Champions.
right? It's hockey.
And hockey, yeah. Hockey.
Oh yeah, yeah. We were
Hockey
talking
is
about
no
that.
more NHL.
Yeah. Which I kind of like it though in a sense.
I just completely lost my train of thought. Joe saved me.
Carmelo going to the Hall of Fame.
Carmelo going to the Hall of Fame. No. He does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion. But anyway.
So who wins Game 3? Golden
Thank
State or
you.
Houston?
Thank you. Who's going to win Game 3? Golden State's going to win Game 3. Steph Curry is going to shoot the lights out of the gym. They're going to get the Oracle crowd behind them. And Houston is going to get back to arguing with one another because I find it ironic that after Game
Play
1,
defense.
after
it's
Game
gonna
1,
flop.
they were all arguing about ISO ball doesn't work. We can't win this way. And Mike D'Antoni was able to, get everybody back, huddled back in. It was like, no. This is what we're doing all year. We're not going to try to change anything now.
Yeah.
And then they went
This
back
is
to
my
ISO
style of
ball.
basketball.
Right, yeah. And they went back to ISO and they won in Game 2. I think if Golden State hits them with an onslaught of offensive basketball and they can't keep up and guys get tired, that they're going to go back to self-doubt and all this stuff. The Houston Rockets are a mentally weak team when it comes to Golden State. They knew that they were going to beat the Timberwolves. They knew that they were going to beat the Jazz.
Weak-minded going up against Golden State.
Yeah.
They know what they're going against.
I mean, but
The Monstars.
they are, but they've admitted that they obsess about this team. Like their GM flat out said those exact words. So when Golden State gets into their passing the ball fluidly, the beautiful offense that they run, I think there's just going to be a lot of self-doubt, and they're going to start fighting within. And once that happens, Golden State's going to tear them apart.
I agree with everything except Steph shooting the lights out. I agree with everything.
Houston's literally going to have to play the same exact way for the rest of the series for them to even
It's a lot.
question. And that's a lot.
It's asking a lot. Going into the season, everybody knew Golden State was going to win the championship. Let's be real. So nothing's changed. It's just now it's getting to the question of it's Houston against them in the Western Conference Finals, and even then Houston they don't have it. They don't.
Quick stat correction. Carmelo Anthony has 4 medals. Not all 4 of them are gold. One of them is bronze from the 04 season, from the 04 year, because LeBron has the bronze medal. So Melo has 3 gold. But he has the 1
That
bronze.
was that was when they were. That was the.
Yep.
They were babies.
Yeah. So Melo does not have 4 gold medals, and he still does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, Joe, Game 3.
Houston.
What?
Houston.
Okay. Why?
I just feel it. No reason, no nothing. I just feel it.
So all right,
Going against the grain today.
I like it.
who you got going the rest of the series?
Golden State.
So they're going to be on their heels a little bit. Okay. All right.
I mean, like Aaron brought up, we did say if Steph doesn't play like Steph, there's an issue. And right now, there's an issue. So until he corrects it,
fair enough.
I think Houston can
I can dig it.
squeak it out. I'm not, by any means, I'm not saying a 40-point blowout, 30-point blowout. I think they could squeak another one out.
Okay. All right. Well, we're done with NBA playoffs talk. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we have a very interesting topic that I think is going to be fun to debate. So we'll be right back. This is Smack Talk. All right, welcome back to Smack Talk. Leave it on the court. I am Cerebral, AK and Joe are with me. We have a topic that I wanted to talk about, just because me and Joe were casually talking about it the other day, and we were talking about Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't even want to know what's going on. We were talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds specifically, and is Barry Bonds ever going to get in? And we had a little debate about it, and then it kind of brought me to the point of all of the steroid user players and their ability to get into the Hall of Fame. So we've got 6 guys that we're going to really focus on for the main point.
7.
7?
Pete Rose.
I did want to talk about Pete Rose, but that's for
You
different.
didn't?
I did, but we'll get to that. So you got Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Alex Rodriguez, Jose Canseco, David Ortiz, and Manny Ramirez. Now, the reason why David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez is in here is Manny Ramirez did test positive for steroids, and he just decided to leave baseball instead of serving the suspension. And then David Ortiz, there was some kind whatever the report was where he did test positive, and David Ortiz shut up about people getting banned for life that got caught using steroids because he was very adamant about it. So all these guys are retired. Some are eligible for the Hall of Fame now, some are not. None of the guys that are eligible have been voted in yet, but the numbers have been getting interesting. What is your guys' thoughts on steroid users getting into the Hall of Fame?
Go ahead, Joe.
I mean,
One of them's your boy.
one of them is my boy. And his 2018 vote was 8.6%. Sammy Sosa's got a long way to go before he's going to get in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As we've been talking, Barry Bonds has increasing every year. This year he ended up at 56.4%, which it's close enough to 70 to where I'm sure it'll happen in the future.
Yeah, I was about to say, you
But
only need to get 70% to get in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, though, because, I mean, that's just the era that it was. A lot of players were doing it. A lot of players didn't get caught.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Pitchers were doing it.
it
Roger
was
Clemens.
it was the way of the
just
it was
hitters.
the way of the world at that time. I mean, it's just the way that it was going. So I feel like the players that didn't get caught, cap off to them, but the players that did get caught have some pretty impressive numbers, and you wonder,
Some of the best numbers.
without steroids, what happens? Because I mean, you got
the power.
we got Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds
Power.
with we'll say 10,000 at bats. He's at 98.47, so pretty close to 10,000.
Right.
You got a player like Pete Rose, 14,000 career at bats with 4,000 hits. I mean, was he on steroids? Probably not.
No, he was just gambling every single game that he played in.
So,
Hey, it made him better.
but for the steroids, I mean, it's hard because a lot of these numbers have asterisks next to them, and you don't know whether they would have performed the same or not. Barry Bonds, great player before he came to San Francisco.
Before his head doubled in size.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Arguably, me and Zach were saying, arguably almost Hall of Fame career before he went to San Francisco.
Definitely.
He was a lot better fielder. He was a lot better of a fielder.
More stolen bases.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was. I liked him when he was little. I liked him when he was.
You like Lil Barry?
Yeah, I like Lil Barry. I like Lil Barry. Yeah, Big Barry is so cool.
I look at it like this. I mean, the guys that have votes for the Hall of Fame, it's really hypocritical because at the time where the height of the steroid era, nobody was watching baseball. Nobody cared. It was a dying sport. And then you had
It's still a dying sport.
for different reasons, but yes.
Yeah.
You had Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire come in and save baseball with that incredible season, which everyone remembers fondly. And we just like, yeah, they might have been juicing, but it was really fun that year. And those teams weren't even competing.
What year was the home run race?
Don't ask me tough questions like that on the spot. Come on, man. But
It was 90s, right?
let me remember
98?
this fondly that neither
If it
one
was
of the
98, the Cubs were competing.
I
Cubs
think
made
the
playoffs
Cubbies were a
in
good
98.
team.
were they both competing? Jesse, can you check that for us really quick? I know he's on it. I'm just trying to stall for time.
It
at
was
this point.
98.
It was 98. How did you Google that fast?
My phone.
Oh, okay.
98, look at that. Right
One
on the
of
money.
those teams.
I'm old.
We got our Siri in the background who texted me, and
So one of those teams wasn't competing, so it was the Cardinals. But either way, I mean, it made every single one of those games must-watch TV.
Definitely.
Because it was like, all right, are they going to hit another home run today? And then even more so, and it's a
How
rivalry
many?
already.
How many home runs?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then wasn't there something about McDonald's too involved in 19 with that home run race? Weren't they doing commercials about Sammy and Mark McGuire?
Probably.
Oh well, Mark McGuire has the
Big Mac, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was Mark McGuire the Big Mac. But I swear they had it was that obviously that long ago. But I swear there was commercials with Sammy and Mark McGuire in the sense of the home run race.
Well, Sammy used to eat a Big Mac before every game.
Well, there you go. There had to be. There's got to
Was it steroids?
it was
the Big
the
Mac.
steroids in the meat. What are you talking about? McDonald's made him fail that test.
So I guess before every game, somebody would run across the street because they used to have the McDonald's, which is now gone. They used to have the McDonald's right across the street from the ballpark. They would run somebody over there. Sammy would get to get Sammy a Big Mac before the game.
Really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if McDonald's was sponsoring
I
both
swear,
of them.
I was only 9, but I faintly remember something like that. Because my grandpa's a Cubs fan, so I was always watching, stuff like that, and I swear they had something about it.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. So when those guys would play in head-to-head matchups and stuff like that, you had to watch because like who's going to
played
hit
a
more?
lot.
Yeah,
They played against
right.
each other a lot.
Who's going to hit more home runs in this game? Is it going to be Mark? Is it going to be Sammy? Like, how exciting is that game going to be? So these guys that was one of the heights of viewership for baseball. And then Barry Bonds came and he had the 72 home run season.
Yeah.
And that was just ridiculous. And by that point, I think everybody had kind of come on to it. It's like, okay, but we were still watching.
Yeah, I mean,
So you can't be that into it on the front end of it, and now that it's all over, and
have so much to say about it.
right, I mean, technically none of those guys have ever tested positive.
Mark McGuire admitted to doing it.
He did admit to it.
No,
Mark,
Jose Canseco wrote a book about it.
okay, that's Jose Canseco, and though no one believes him, I don't think he's told a lie yet.
No, I don't think so. Well,
But-
no, Manny Ramirez tested positive. Oh, you
Well,
meant
yeah,
Mark
yeah. Out of those
McGwire and
three,
Sosa.
out of those three, yeah.
Sosa was corking his bats though too.
He did get caught corking.
Yeah.
Sammy got caught doing a lot of
Yeah,
lot of
Sammy
dumb-
got caught doing it. He was like he did it.
No. No habla inglés.
Yeah, no. They ain't getting you out of this one, buddy. No, that's the cork. I remember
Yeah.
the rest of the umps were looking at it like,
What the fuck is that?
Sammy,
your steroid taking ass has to cork the bat too?
when everything was good, Sammy was doing all these interviews and laughing and having a good time. As soon as you accuse Sammy of something, he needed a translator.
We don't know those words where I'm from.
But none of those guys actually tested positive. Barry Bonds' famous line was, "I never knowingly took steroids."
Which I can tell you that those boys
I could have
were
told you were doing
that
steroids,
that
bro.
those boys were on steroids. You know,
yeah.
You look at Sosa at the beginning of his career, Barry Bonds at the beginning of his
Skinny.
career.
Sammy
I mean, you're
Sosa
talking-
weighed 170
Mark
pounds.
McGuire, I
soaking
think,
wet.
came in on steroids because
He-
Mark
he didn't
McGuire
change
always
too much.
had
Built.
was a built. Like,
Right,
I mean,
yeah,
his
yeah.
forearms were always so
Right.
massive. I mean, Jose Canseco, he came in the league skinny too,
Right.
and then he blew up like nobody's business. Ortiz was always
Bigger.
big, but he's a DH. He never had to play the field, so naturally he always was able to keep size to him
Yeah.
to keep that power.
And Manny Ramirez always wore baggy clothes, so he looked sloppy and out of shape.
You never knew.
Exactly.
You never knew what he was. He was either that or sloppy and out of shape or in shape, and you just didn't know. But
Yeah, no,
when he came in,
definitely.
he was a little bit slimmer. But it's like anybody comes in the league, they get their grown man body. They're eating
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So of course they're gonna put on a little bit of weight. Everybody does it.
Definitely.
Until Barry Bonds hit 72 home runs, he never hit more than 50.
Right?
It's a big gap.
Yeah. It's a huge gap. And, I mean,
You
let's...
got players coming in the league looking like Dion, leaving looking like me, and you telling me they're non-steroids?
Well, no, that's
You know what I mean.
that's
You know what I mean. You come in at 180 and you leave at 260, you're telling me non-steroids?
yeah. I mean, but in all reality, there's steroids in so many sports, or human growth hormone, but the test for that is so crazy. But baseball, I don't know why they singled those guys out. You notice that it was the sport thing, because you don't see a lot of NFL guys like now. Some people test for PEDs.
NFL guys get popped off for PEDs all the time, and it's like, all right, when does it come back?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I don't know why they singled these players in that era out so bad. Obviously, it was the big steroid year, but every sport has it. You think that there was a random reason why when they said that they're going to start testing for things in the NBA, that LeBron lost like 40 pounds because he said he changed his diet. He said, I cut out all carbs.
Melo slimmed down that same year.
Well, he was fat.
Melo was fat.
Yeah, Melo was fat. But what I'm saying, LeBron is always big. Same thing with Dwight Howard. You notice how after they started testing for what everything you can take,
I've never thought about that.
Dwight Howard started to get hurt and be hurt longer and not be able to play the way he used to play. The things that they take, honestly, what they probably were taking it for in all reality is recovery.
Yeah.
That's what think about what they do every night.
Yeah.
You got to recover, and it wasn't so advanced like they have them now. Like the things that they had, the procedures, or in the sense of the chambers that they have now. So they were doing that, obviously for strength and everything, but it also is a recovery agent. So, everybody does it.
No, definitely. I do agree with you. It's like baseball is just kind of taking it as an extreme. As like there's this huge stance of we don't like baseball, or we don't like steroids, and anybody that did it does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But 15 years ago, you guys were,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Hit those home runs,
hit
come on.
Exactly. So it's like, it's really hypocritical in my eyes. I look at these guys' numbers, and there's a part of me that thinks it's like, all right, you have to have some level of baseball talent for steroids to be able to have an effect as far as like increasing your numbers. Because if you can't hit a ball, you can use all the steroids in the world, you still can't hit a ball.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
So there has to be a certain level of talent there already. So I think what
They were all
steroids
good
were
hitters.
doing, they were all great hitters.
They were
yeah.
all good hitters.
So I think that the steroids just enhanced the abilities that they already had, but it didn't make them.
Honestly, the only thing that helped in the sense is power.
Yeah.
If you look at none of these guys, they all got bigger.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the sense of, because you're not the bigger you are doesn't change your in play ball, like your ground balls and stuff like that. It's gonna they might shoot rockets, but I'm saying like your average will still be the same. But the power thing, that's the only thing I would think. The home runs. I think the only thing that would be different would be the home runs.
It doesn't increase your hits. It definitely doesn't increase your doubles or triples.
No,
if anything,
not
it
at all.
decreases those. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the RBIs obviously would change with it too, because obviously
True.
some of those hits they were hitting were bringing in runs.
But RBI is an old stat to look at as far as like a player's career now. Anyway, nobody looks at RBIs like that because it's now understood that RBIs is kind of a team stat.
yeah, I still look at them, but that's just because I look at every stat there possibly is for it. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I understand they look at hits, home runs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And average. That's all they
yeah.
really look at nowadays, like you said. But yeah, I think with that list, if you would take the home runs away, some of the home runs away, and RBIs. But in the sense of their averages and their on base isn't changing. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to relatively stay around the same. They're all good hitters.
Yeah.
There wasn't a bad hitter in there. So their averages. It could be a couple points higher or lower. Who knows? But it's not going to change drastically.
Right.
So I think I don't know who's going to get in.
So I actually want to go down the line. Each individual will kind of go around and say if we think they are or are not going to get in. So, Joe, if you want to start at the top of the list.
Barry Bonds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to take him a few more years, but he's going to get in.
Yeah.
He's already at 56.4%.
Yeah.
5 years, he'll get to 70.
I don't even think. I hope not that long.
He's only been going up a couple percentage points every year.
Yeah,
It's
it hasn't
nothing
been nothing crazy drastic. Because I think in the first year, he tried to get in that first year?
I think it was 30.
Yeah, I thought it was around that, or 27. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But we know, we
He's been
understand
coming
what
up.
we're talking
Definitely,
about.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he eventually.
It's going to be hard to leave him
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder to get some of these guys in than some people think, just because of the thing hanging over their head.
Barry Bonds, I said yes so quickly because Barry Bonds is the only one that I'm 100%. Okay, more than not sure that Barry Bonds is going to get in. I'm pretty
Yes, yeah.
freaking confident Barry Bonds is going to get in.
I'm like 60-40. 60% of me thinks he's going to get in. 40% of me might.
I mean, he could hit a stalemate at 65, but like I was telling Zach a lot, if some of these old writers get out and that new vote comes in,
True.
that might change something. 'Cause it's
It'll have
like,
a huge
how are
effect.
you guys leaving him out? He hit this many home runs. Well,
And if
I don't
you
care
want-
about steroids.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or they come in and you can look at the other end of the spectrum that they look at it as like this guy cheated and took steroids too, and they continue
Yeah,
with that.
and
You know
then
what I'm
they
saying?
can go
And
back
then they
down.
never got to saw in the sense of he was a great hitter. I have to
Yes, he
give
was.
it like when I watched him, he was a great hitter. So yeah, you look at it like that, but they might be like, well, I never really watched the guy, so I mean, yeah, his numbers are good, but he took steroids. He's a cheater.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope that's not what it is. I mean, does Barry Bonds deserve to be in there? Yeah, he's still a good hitter. I give it to him. I don't like the man very much, but I give it to him. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Who's the next name on the list, Joe?
Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire's got a long way to go, but I
No
will.
failed PED test, but admittedly open it.
Openly admitted.
Yes,
I
thank you very
think
much.
that's going to help him more than hurt him because from the simple fact of everyone's got the suspicion of they use steroids anyway, so they're getting shamed for that. Mark McGuire came clean and said, you know what, I did this, I shouldn't have did it, yada yada yada, blase blase, to where you
And he
could-
didn't
you-
put nobody's name out there either, like Jose Canseco did.
Yeah,
Jose
true.
Canseco.
He did say,
threw
"I did it."
everybody under the bus.
Right.
He admitted he did it, so I give
Right.
him so much credit there.
the way Mark McGuire did it, he did it in a way where it's like, okay, we can forgive you. You know, we still love watching you play, yada yada yada. So he's got a longer way to go than Barry Bonds, but I do think he's going to get in eventually.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I don't think he played long enough. Because if you look at his numbers compared to everybody else, he's only at 6,000 at-bats, 1,600 hits.
Yeah.
That's not that impressive.
No.
He had those couple years where he hit some bombs. I mean, he hit 583 home runs, which is a good amount of home runs in the sense of his.
A third of his hits were home runs.
Yes, you know what I'm saying. So that is impressive.
Yeah.
But his overall numbers, I don't find them that impressive to get 1,600 hits. That's nothing. Dudes are getting 2,000 on average nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They can't knock over the 3,000. There's a select few of people that have done that, but 1,600 is not that impressive.
Okay.
I mean, I'm with him. I don't think he's gonna get in either.
I don't
Purely
think he
because of
deserves.
his-
I don't think he
purely because of
deserves
his stat line. You think his stat line's not good enough?
But one thing we have to look at, he was a Gold Glover though, I believe, a couple years.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we also have to include. And Barry Bonds was too in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
a long time ago. He was he was getting nods.
I think it's a consensus that Barry Bonds is on
One
track to
Gold
be in the
Glove
Hall
for
of
Mark
Fame.
McGuire in 16 years.
He played 16 years.
You've only got it's 100. So basically 100 hits a season. That isn't impressive. That's
No.
not impressive at all.
I forgot he played 16. He didn't play.
That says so.
He played. Man, how many did he play in Oakland? In Oakland. Because he played Oakland with Mark McGuire and it was Jose Canseco, the Bash Brothers.
Yeah, that's where that whole
That's where they started. But I swear Mark McGuire came in looking like he was on steroids before that. But yeah, Mark McGuire, I don't think he is. Barry Bonds has a better chance, obviously.
Yeah, looking at the totality of his
So Mark McGuire only played 12 years. You got to get it right, kid.
You said 16.
He played in Oakland for 12,
12
years.
years.
Okay. So he only played in St. Louis for 4? Wow.
Yeah. He wasn't there
Wow.
very long.
Wow.
they worship that man.
They did.
Legit.
All right, who's the next player on that list? Oh, Sammy Sosa.
Sorry.
Sammy
Sammy
Sosa.
Sosa.
For a multitude of reasons, not just steroids, I don't think Sammy's gonna come close. You've got the way that he exited with the Cubs, and the Cubs, or as an organization, have yet to forgive him, let alone baseball. He's not been around
Why, what'd
any
he do?
organization. He left in the middle of his last game, like they were losing, and he just left.
Oh.
He left the field and he left the stadium, and that's when he got traded to the Texans. So
Oh my God, I forgot. See, you guys followed Sammy a little bit more than I did.
yeah.
Cubs fan.
So Sammy kind of left his Cubs career on awful terms.
Oh yeah, he's not getting it.
And then the other like I said, people kind of look at him side-eyed. It's like, look, dude, we did all these interviews with you, and you spoke. Yeah, it was broken English, but you could hold a conversation.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we're asking you all these questions. You don't know no English?
And like we said, he didn't test positive for steroids, did he? But we
No
obviously
gloves
know
either.
we all, and then
The visual of
yes,
what he looked
and
like.
then like we said, he got caught corking bats, and you can't tell me that was the only time his bat was corked.
definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
his home runs are taken down even more in the sense
Yeah.
of steroids and corking his bat.
Yeah.
So I don't think Sammy's gonna get in. And in the field, I don't think he was anything.
He wasn't a
good.
Gold Glover.
No.
He was a 6-time Silver Slugger, but never a Gold Glove.
Yeah,
So hit offensively, yeah, but defensively, he doesn't really have a case.
No.
A-Rod.
he's gone. He's gone.
I think A-Rod had enough.
He's not eligible for votes yet, right?
No, not for a couple
No.
more years. I think he had enough time post the steroid era to kind of rebuild his resume, but then he got popped off again, and he missed the whole season. So I don't remember how long he played after he got the full year suspension.
2 years.
That's not a lot of time for redemption.
2 years.
Though
But you look at his numbers.
his numbers are ridiculous. He's not the home run king, but the rest of his stat line is damn impressive.
And you have to look at this. He was also a player that was a shortstop that moved to third base, and he was a great third baseman after he made that change. Which you could say, oh, people that play the infield can play any position, but to be a great shortstop and to be a great third baseman too, when you get moved over, it's a change. The throw is different.
It's two different positions in a sense, but it's also two different sets of responsibilities.
Yes. Yeah.
Shortstop, you're going for the cutoff.
Yes.
Third base, you got to make sure you're there.
Yes.
As a shortstop, you got to back up the third base player, back
Yep.
up the second base player. So as a middle infielder, you're always doing something. Whereas the
Yeah.
corners, you're kind of
Yeah.
So it's a different mentality.
And him as a hitter, the one thing that I'm gonna take away from him because I watched him play quite often is him in the playoffs. Because we went to the playoffs quite a bit with him, and you look at his playoff numbers, I guarantee you they're atrocious.
Yeah, he only had the one good playoff season, and that's when they won.
You know what I'm saying? So in Seattle, he was a stud. And then he went to Texas, and he was a stud. And he came to New York, and in all reality, he was a stud.
Just didn't play in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the only time that he didn't show up. So obviously, we're going off his hits as a total and everything. I mean, he's gonna get in.
Yeah.
I
3,100 hits.
I would like to
Almost
know
700 home
if he's got any Gold Gloves. I would
Two
like
of
to
them.
know. Two of them.
2 Gold Gloves. Yeah,
10 Silver Sluggers.
but his
Kid had bat.
Kid head stick.
His-
And he still won 2 Golden Gloves.
for his
There's
whole
players
career-
that don't win any.
Right.
You
For
know.
his whole career, he's only had 13 home runs in the playoffs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
he made a lot of playoff runs.
Trust me, and he was on my team in the playoffs, and you know how he would go 0 for 4 in multiple games, and he's batting fourth. You know how terrible it was to watch that? You know how disgusting
Yeah.
that was? It gives me anxiety thinking about it.
Because Jeter's on base already, so he's getting that at bat in the first inning.
Yeah, trust me, I know Jerry was on base. He was on base a lot.
So next on the list is.
So we're all going, A-Rod's going to get in?
I say so.
I think he will.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny the numbers. Well, we wrote Andy Pettit on here because
And Roger Clemens.
And Roger Clemens. I mean,
I like that.
Andy Pettit,
He's going to Hall of Fame.
he's got 0% votes right now.
He's going to go to the Hall
He's
of
been
Fame.
eligible for
At least a couple years.
a few years.
He's probably been
2
eligible
years.
for 2 years. Yeah.
He'll go to the Hall of Fame. If you look at his playoff numbers,
With pitchers, yeah,
Outstanding.
your playoff numbers will get you into the Hall of Fame alone. Yeah.
his playoff numbers are outstanding. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to get in. I'm a little biased on that, obviously, because he was a lifelong Yankee.
I think Andy Pettit and Roger Clemens do get in. I think Roger Clemens gets
Roger
in for
Clemens
the
is going to get
same
in
reason.
before that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think Roger
Yes.
Clemens gets in for the
'Cause-
same reason Barry Bonds gets
Because
in.
you look at where Roger Clemens went and pitched in his career, and everywhere he went, he was a stud.
Yeah,
Everywhere he went, he was a stud, and he's got rings.
yeah.
And that's something, in baseball.
It talks.
It talks. And his numbers, I mean, if you look at his career stats, I could only imagine what his strikeout, his ERA, everything is. He was a great pitcher.
Yeah. Next name on this list, Jose Canseco. I want to make this clear. He has a.
Who put his name
Negative-
on who put his name on the
We
list?
put his name on the list for the referencing.
For the reference, I mean,
Jose
he was
Canseco.
a
Slap
big
both of
name,
ya.
Big name.
Jose Canseco has a -0 chance of making it into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And
I
said
got a
on-
better chance.
Yes, yes.
I'm not
All three
making
of us at this table have a better chance of making it into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we didn't play. So, Jose Canseco is the snitch of the steroid era.
He is.
As soon as he opens his mouth, people get kind of upset. It's like, don't ruin my favorite player's career.
Yeah.
Like, that's how everybody looks at him because we know.
Like, you ruined a good time.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like we were cool with being naive about it until
Yeah.
you opened your mouth. And I don't think he's lied yet, but at the same time, it's like, dude, just stop. Stop ruining people's careers. I really wanted to enjoy this player.
He needs some more limelight on himself. That's all that is. It's
if
selfish.
If he writes another book, I swear.
That's all that was. He's nobody. And then for him to get a little limelight, what did he do? Snitch on everybody. What's the best thing to get you known?
Yeah.
Telling on people. Or putting other people's business in your mouth.
Right, yeah.
It's
Now, I do think that he introduced a lot of these players that we have on this list to steroids. I'm abundantly
Rafael
confident.
Palmeiro too.
Yeah, I think that he introduced Mark McGuire to steroids.
He introduced a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
Because Rafael Palmeiro played with Jose Canseco and then Rafael Palmeiro and A-Rod played together in Texas, and that's when A-Rod started taking steroids.
Uh-huh.
Hey, low key, Alfonso was on it too.
Soriano?
Yes, I promise you.
Man,
Because
let's
when he played for the Yankees, he was a string bean. Then he went to Texas and he put a little bit of weight on.
Look, man, don't ruin one of my favorite.
Hey,
players.
he's one of my
Don't
favorite
do that.
players too. He was a Yankee before a Cubby.
He was my favorite player until he came to the Cubs.
He had stick. I loved watching him
Yeah.
bat.
Not for us.
No, not at all.
For the Yankees, he did.
So I'm not even gonna ask you guys. Jose Canseco's not getting into the Hall of Fame.
No.
The king of the godfather of the steroid era. He's not getting
he's
into the Hall of
not.
Fame. Who's next on the list? We got David
Poppy.
Ortiz.
Big Poppy.
David Ortiz has a weird situation because there are no DHs in the Hall of Fame, right?
It's a good question.
I don't think so because they didn't come up with the DH until was it the 80s?
Sure.
I'm
Where?
probably
need to
wrong.
get rid of it.
To be completely honest, I think I could easily be wrong when they came up with the DH because if you think about it, and this is obviously old, but Babe Ruth when he pitched, he batted for the Yankees.
Yep.
So that's the only reference I can really go off of.
Well, yeah, the DH is, in the last 50 years of baseball, it's a newer thing, definitely. But David Ortiz, and I know you say they should get rid of the DH position, but guys like David Ortiz don't have the careers they have without that position existing because
he's not. He
can't play first base. He cannot play first base.
Obviously, he can't catch. So where are you going to put him?
Yeah. So a guy like that just doesn't have a career all of a sudden. And you can look at his numbers. David Ortiz, he benefits from the fact that he had time to play after the whole steroid era, and
And you know what benefited him is Fenway Park, that short right field.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that helped. He's a lefty.
Frank Thomas would be the only majority DH that made it. I know he played a position, but he also did switch to DH.
He did.
Yeah, yeah.
He
That would have
did.
been the only person.
Okay.
He just got in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tough for David Ortiz because you can't put the two stats together. You can't put a fielding stat and his hitting stat
He
together.
just has hitting.
It's
Yeah.
and it's for him just hitting. Yeah, he was good, but he wasn't great. I don't think he was a.
He was clutch.
He was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, his playoff hitting?
Yes, he was clutch. But I'm saying in the sense of greatness of
Right.
him strictly. Think about a shooter that's only worrying about shooting and that's it. What can they do? Score the ball and they'll score. Look at James Harden, 45 points, like nothing. It's the same aspect. I feel he didn't have to worry about fielding, so he's not playing every given night where he's beating his body up. So that's why he lasted. He probably wouldn't be able to play
As
X
long as
amount
he
of
did.
careers as
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I don't even think any of his numbers. I mean, I think if he had to play the field, his numbers wouldn't be as great in all reality because he's not an in shape guy.
No.
So he's going to beat himself up. So then he's going to have to take days off because he couldn't play in first base 162 games.
No, definitely
You know, so then boom, his numbers are down because he
Right.
sits 2 games. He sits 2 games here. He sits 2 games there. A
Yeah.
game here. A game there.
But for the position,
For the DHS.
you can't say that there's a lot of guys that did it better than him. And eventually you got to let some DHs into the Hall of Fame because they did play the game. And yeah, you can you maybe you got to analyze it differently, but they're on the field too.
Yes.
And he had the Boston's last World Series championship. He was a big factor to the point
Yeah.
where when they got to the NL Park, they had to find a way to get him on the field because he was batting like 400.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like there was nothing that the Cardinals could do to stop him.
No.
So I
was
think
on a tear.
I think David Ortiz does get in.
I think it's going to be a little bit.
I mean, he's had in 9 seasons, he's had postseason, he's had 88 hits and 17 home runs in nine playoff appearances.
9 playoff seasons.
9
yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not terrible, but we know, us three at this table know that some of those hits were very, very
Huge.
I'll tell you,
historic. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't mean to bring it up, but I'm just being real about it. Those were some.
Weren't the Yankees up 3-0?
They were.
We're almost done. You can leave it a little bit. The last one on the list that we got is Manny Ramirez.
So
Yep, Manny.
yeah,
Manny.
Manny is the toughest one for me.
I think he is.
Because Manny just duped all of us, I think. Nobody even questioned Manny to be a steroid user until his name came out on that report. Oh, no, until he tested positive.
Numbers are just as good as Ortiz with less at bats.
Yeah. And we're
I
not
watched
going
Manny
to...
a lot.
Yeah.
And he deserves it. He was a good. One thing he was good for, he learned how to read the balls off the green.
He was a
monster.
smart hitter. He was a really smart hitter.
Oh yeah, that,
Fielding.
he was
You mean
fielding. I'm
fielding.
talking fielding in the sense of he played left field in
doubles,
that green monster. Yes,
right.
he took away a lot of doubles, a lot of triples. He did a lot in that field, and I seen it. Like I said, watching him for as long as I did, his fielding and his bat. There's no way he can't get in. I don't think he's gonna get in eventually. It might be some years down the road, but do I think he's gonna get in eventually? And he's got rings with Boston,
Yeah.
and he brought rings to Boston when there were.
Nothing.
Nobody
None.
had hope of rings
Yeah.
being, and him and David Ortiz but they had. I mean, in all reality,
That was a team.
They had Johnny Damon.
Yeah.
They had Dustin Pedroia.
Pedro.
You know who
Never
they
mind,
you know
never
you know who they had? They had Theo.
They had Kurt Schilling. They had Kurt Schilling. They had their team though as a whole was stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, their starting pitcher.
Like I
was
said, they had Theo.
Lights out. Their fielding, everything. Their bats. It was a whole. It was the
Kevin Youkilis, right? He was on that team.
Kevin Ukes. The Uke. And then they had
They had Lackey.
They had
They did have Lackey.
they had
Bloody sock and all.
they had, no, that's Kurt Schilling.
That was Kurt Schilling. you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, Bloody Sock was Kurt Schilling. They had the catcher, and I can't not Jason Varitek.
I can't not.
Jason Varitek in that when the Yankees fell apart, that dude had 2 home runs. I forgot if it was game 5 or game 6. The dude had 2 home runs, and it just killed us. That was a good team.
All right, so we agree Manny's going to get in.
I think he is.
Man, he'll get in.
All right, last thing that I want to talk about. It's not steroid era based, but it is Hall of Fame based. With the gambling thing all coming, changing and sports embracing it, is it time to let Pete Rose not only back into baseball, but finally let Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame?
So what I'm about to say, obviously we know these are Pete Rose stats that I'm about to read off,
Sure.
but pretend like we don't know they're Pete Rose's stats. 14,000 at bats, 2,100 runs, 4,200 hits, 160 home runs. I mean, the home run number isn't high, but that just shows you that.
160.
That's when home runs weren't big, though.
Right.
People didn't hit
Right.
like they do now. It
But I'm
was
saying
contact.
4,200 hits and he only hit 160 home runs.
Oh, a little technical error there.
Yeah, technical error. We're going to call
Sorry
it
about that, guys.
Sorry.
So he had 4,200 hits and 160 home runs.
Pete Rose deserves.
A 303 career batting average. I mean, those numbers are. How do you not put him in the Hall?
You can make an argument that
Fielding,
Pete
he
Rose
was a
is
monster.
You can make an argument that Pete Rose is one of the top 10 greatest baseball players of all time.
17 All Stars, 3 World Series,
Part of the
World
Big Red
Series
Machine.
MVP, 3-time batting title.
Those
You know what I
Cincinnati Red teams are legendary.
Legendary.
They had a guy that played is from Joliet on that, one of their pitchers. Was the starting pitcher for the Reds, and I believe he was from Joliet.
Shout out to the hometown.
Yeah. So sorry, we had to do that. That's where we're from. But yeah, no.
World Series MVP. I mean,
Yeah, I believe Pete Rose should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
Get
Yeah,
over it.
he's
Get
get
over
over it. He bet on baseball, big deal. If anything, it made him better.
again,
How-
you know how many players were betting on baseball? I'm sure that nobody and they didn't get caught.
And think about this: it's if you look at his games, he still put up those numbers. If you put it in the sense of he wanted to lose, his numbers would look nothing like that.
Do I agree with a player in position like that to bet on his team? No, I don't. But get over it. It's
baseball.
Get over
He's
it.
apologized 1,000 times over. I think the fans are at the point where they want to see him in there. A couple years ago, when the All-Star game was in Cincinnati, and they welcomed him back for then, and they let him, be like an inaugural or whatever the case may be. Like I think he threw out the first pitch and all that other
Probably.
stuff. The fans loved it.
Yeah.
He's welcomed back by the fans. The players embrace him. Players still talk to Pete Rose. Alex Rodriguez had a huge connection with Pete Rose throughout his entire career almost. So
you strictly
Because they're
look at
both
his-
cheating.
true.
You look at his numbers. I mean, his first man.
Who's the next closest in hits?
He just played for so long.
So long.
On such a high level for so long.
Yes.
He came in the league in 1963. Left in 1986.
What I don't want to see with Pete Rose is I don't want him to pass away, leave this earth, and then they decide
Then
to,
they decide
they
to
decide to
mourn
put him
him
in.
and celebrate what he did.
deserves to be alive and enjoy being inducted into
Yes.
the Hall of Fame.
Out of his whole career, he's had 6 seasons where he played less than 130 games.
And that's the Iron Man factor of baseball
Mm-hmm.
because you're not going to see that now.
No, not at all.
Nobody's playing him. Metrics won't allow teams to let players do
No,
that.
they wouldn't.
So
With 230 hits, I mean, some of these numbers are ridiculous.
I think that Rob Manfred needs to do what's right here, and he needs to let Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame. I'm not
One of the
saying
greatest
that
baseball players of all time.
Ever.
How do you,
I mean, how many players nowadays are even going to sniff 3,500, let alone
4,000.
42?
Yeah.
You're not even
nobody.
Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
no.
So let's get Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame. Let's start.
Because
let's
you have a
start
hitter like
that wave.
Albert Pujols who just got in the 3,000 hit club.
He ain't getting 32. I'm telling you right now.
Look
he's
at Derek
not.
Jeter.
Right.
That man is a killer, and I think Derek Jeter's at 30. He might be 31 or 3,200 hits.
And he was consistent.
His average is over 300. If you're averaging over 300, you're hitting the ball a lot.
And that's 3 out of 10.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's just he deserves it.
So let's get Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame while he's alive, so he can enjoy it because he does deserve that.
Oh, 100%.
And him have some kind of a sports show where he's giving you gambling tips because I would love to see that.
Or imagine if he could have been a hitting coach for some of these players.
He could teach so many players how to hit for average, and it would save their careers.
You know what I'm saying? Think about what he
Yeah.
could have done for the sport in the sense of saving people's careers and maybe putting even more life into baseball. Because he was such an impressive hitter. You walked up and you knew he's going to get a hit off you.
Definitely.
That's what that is.
Yeah. So we're short on time. We do have to wrap this up. Thank you guys for enjoying another episode of Smack Talk. I do want to say special thanks to Jesse. He's our new stats guy. He gave us this really extensive list, and it's awesome. It's really great. I enjoyed reading it before we came on live. So shout out to Jesse. Thank you. Shout out to Lamar, always running the audio. There is more stuff coming up soon for Smack Talk. Be on the lookout. We got a lot of stuff planned that we're going to be sharing with you soon. So be on the lookout for that. This has been Smack Talk. Thank you.